video. Yeah, lots of stuff going on, busy, blah blah blah. Vloggerdome 11 is up if you want to see it. I'll leave a link below, I guess. You should know about it anyway, right? Atheism. I think I did a pretty good job. No, I just, yeah, I just complain about religion for an hour, which is kind of fun. But anyway, I'm going to do this Hafla Day and logic rolls the dice. I guess I'll combine the two videos, maybe, a little bit of each one at a time, doses, and respond to this nihilism nonsense. Look, this argument isn't that complicated. He's calling it straw manning. I don't think it's straw manning. I mean, just saying either you're saying suffering isn't a thing that's happening, or you're saying suffering isn't suffering. Okay, it's a meaningless word. Might as well call it cupcake. Suffering doesn't mean suffering. No, it means cupcake. So, I mean, either you're just destroying a word one way or the other. It says, I'm not straw manning you. I'm just saying to you it's not my experience, okay? I'm saying my body, my mind does not make some sort of reflexive, knee-jerk reaction to a sensation. No, the sensation happens. It has a quality of good or bad. And then my brain deals with that as a quality, as a problem. There's no automatic reaction. I mean, there's an automatic reaction and then the programming's in place. But clearly the sensation does happen. And my brain waits for it to happen and then reacts to it. But it's an event. There is a qualitative feeling experienced. It's just silly to say it doesn't exist. It exists. And it has meaning no matter what brain it happens in. And I already explained all this. It's a commodity. It's a thing. The good and the bad exist.
The most important things that inmendham. In fact, I'll title the video.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
Your suffering exists. Okay? I'll speak.
Yeah, well, whatever. You'll say it exists, but it doesn't mean anything. So what's the point? What's the point of saying the word suffering if we don't agree on what suffering is? You're saying suffering is brain configuration that's the same as cupcake. Well, it's not, in my experience.
Speak for 99.999% confident here. I'll speak for Vic, self-immolator, whoever you like, Carla, Della Stella, blah, 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 blah. Your suffering, I'll quote again, big quotation, your suffering exists.
Right, so my ability to recognize the difference between bad sensations and good sensations exists in the universe. I have qualitative different sensations. And that if it was, as I believe it to be, a commodity, like a broken leg has sensations tied to it, it wouldn't matter whether I have a broken leg, or that person has a broken leg, or that person has a broken leg. The broken leg sensations will happen in any one of those brains, and the experience will be just as bad as if it happened to me, as if it happened to them. Logically. I logically understand that the negative of the sensations felt will still be negative in their brain as it was in my brain. And I believe it was a real negative when it happens to me, and I believe it's a real negative when it happens to them. Period. Is that too complicated? And what I'm saying is what have you offered me to explain how the negative isn't a real negative? Nothing.
In the universe. Okay. Now the central problem is, does the nature of that suffering, the badness you describe, in any way relate to somebody else? Other than the fact that if the happening...
Oh, again, does it relate to anybody else? Why does it have to relate to anybody else? It either happens to them or it doesn't happen to them. Their brain is either manufacturing it or it's not manufacturing it. If it's manufacturing it, bad is happening in their brain. I mean, again, you'd only understand the word Holocaust if it's happening to your race. You don't understand what a Holocaust is when it's happening to somebody else. You think it's a different event. It's not. You think horseback riding is horseback riding when you're horseback riding, but it's not horseback riding when somebody else is doing it? That's stupid. It's illogical. That's how it relates. It's the activity that matters, not the actor. How many times do I have to fucking say that?
Exists in the universe, happens to them, it is of consequence to them.
Well, again, to them. Again, this is to them. No, I'm saying it's to any sentient brain. These sensations will be bad in any one of the brains it manifests in. If it's called suffering, it is a certain kind of thing. You can't make it into something else. It's not eating a cupcake then. This is just stupid. Now, certainly there could be people that'll have broken legs and they'll experience a different sensation. If they have morphine or something, they won't have the sensations. And so the broken leg won't be as bad. Maybe they have some psychological disorder, some physical disorder. Maybe they're paralyzed. And yeah, having a broken leg's not going to matter too much. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when the sensation does manifest. That it's bad. Stupid fucking bullshit. Alright, so here's logic rolls of dice doing some sort of cartoon, of course. Because you can't do anything seriously. Anyway, so this is just stupid. Calls it the Izod gap explained. He's doing some sort of Duke Benatar bullshit. Well, anyway. Pain is intrinsically unpleasant in and of itself. I mean, amazing. Well, could we at least say painful is intrinsically painful in and of itself? Do we have to convert pain into something unpleasant? You see this gameplay here? Tormenting would have been a better word. Obnoxious. Something else in and of itself. But the real thing to say is negative or bad in and of itself. Because that's what it is. Pain is bad. It prevents us from doing something. It's bad. That's how it biologically functions. It functions to stop us. And it stops us with a negative. It stops us with a preventative. Something that will make us avoid the activity. And we're avoiding it for a reason, because the bad is real. Not because it's a fake bad, because it's a real bad. Again, we don't knee-jerk our reaction. We process the sensation as a negative and then react to the fact that it's negative. Shit. But again, convert pain into something unpleasant. What a pile of shit. For the sake of argument definition, I will accept this as a fact if the word unpleasant is to even mean anything at all. I mean, really, the word unpleasant doesn't mean anything at all. That's exactly the problem. Unpleasant just means not pleasant, which could be benign. Nothing. Nothing could be unpleasant. You get it? I mean, it's just not the right word to be using. Let's move along, see if this gets any better. This is a stupid start. It's a silly premise. Pain is, turned into unpleasant. Not painful, unpleasant. My judgment or opinion about pain is irrelevant. Again, so what does that mean? You can't have an opinion. You don't have an opinion on what the qualitative impact on a sentient brain is of the experience of pain. That somehow isn't relevant. It isn't relevant as information or knowledge even. But it's certainly a fact of brain processing. It's just silly to say, my brain doesn't react to pain. Of course it does. And it reacts to pain because pain is unpleasant, quote unquote, and because pain is negative as a fact. The very word is inseparable from it. My judgment or opinion about pain is irrelevant to its quality. Again, this is just not even saying, what are you saying? Apparently it is relevant, because apparently you're going to use words like unpleasant instead of calling it what it is, bad. Because you're playing a game. A word game. Alright. Well, there should be one right here. When pain is viewed independently of the sufferer, contains unpleasantness. Pain, when viewed so you view pain, you don't experience it now. See how he's just playing games here? When pain is viewed independently of the sufferer, what does that even mean? The sufferer has to experience it. We can understand that experiencing something bad is just the same as when we experience bad. We can understand bad is bad when it's happening to a brain. I don't even know, pain, when viewed independently of the sufferer. I don't even know, how can you view it independently of the sufferer? There has to be a sufferer. Contains unpleasantness. Well, whatever. Unpleasantness now. Oh, that's really helpful. Let's see. I don't like to feel pain because pain is by itself dislikable. So now it's reverted into dislikable. It's not even, like I said, pain isn't painful or bad. No, it's just dislikable as a quality. Not just my opinion about the pain. Just whenever experienced. It's dislikable. Whenever experienced, the pain is dislikable. I mean, it's like calling losing all your money unprofitable. Oh, you went to Las Vegas and you lost your house. So that was an unprofitable adventure. Is that what we're going to call it? Not going to call it what it was, which is a huge deficit, a loss, a catastrophic failure. No, we'll just say it was an unprofitable experience. Oh, fuck. It is, I don't feel pain. Let me just make sure. I don't like, yeah. I wish this thing worked a little better. I don't like to feel pain, but pain, okay, by itself, unpleasant, okay. Let's see. It is unpleasant, horrible, nasty, repulsive, disgusting, etc. These synonyms are fine. It is unpleasant, it's horrible. So horrible might be a good word. The disgusting is kind of useless. Repulsive is kind of interesting. Nasty is kind of useless. But why not just say bad? Negative. It has a negative quality. Why can't that synonym be fine? Oh, that's right, because that would create logic. And that's the last thing you want to do, is make a logically coherent sentences. In general, we don't want pain. You know, let's see again, now it's something we don't want. Okay, it's not something we're afraid of or something we're horrified by. Now, it's just that we don't want it. So again, it's another, I'm not hungry. Pain is like not being hungry. No, it isn't. Our biology makes pain feel a certain way so as to motivate us. Well, again, if it's motivating us and it's a feeling, then it's a thing happening. It's an experience then. So it's just silly to dissect it. But go ahead, dissect it. It's still an experience, and the experience is qualitatively negative. Us to avoid something deemed a threat. That's not what it does. Sometimes you're sick and there's nothing to do with any threat. You've just been infected by a microbe or something. Something's degraded your health in some way. Sometimes something just breaks. It has nothing to do with, you know, any kind of motivation or anything. There was nothing you could do about it. You just get broken. You fall down. You break something. The pain happens. It doesn't serve you any purpose. It just hurts. To us or our biology, etc. So again, you're going to try to purpose pain out of its reality by turning it into some sort of, like, it's just about the action, when clearly we're sentient for the purpose of this motivation, but the motivation happens through the experience of pain, not just some sort of clickety-click. You actually have to experience it to react to it. It has to happen as an event. Alright, back to jerk.
But in that case, that it's happening to them, the question is it of significance to you?
Well, it is, if you're logical, is the point. That's the whole point, yes. It's a commodity, it's a thing that happens. It's intrinsically bad, which means it's bad, no matter where it happens. So, logically, if you want to prevent bad, yes, you can find bad in any brain and prevent it, and you've done your successful task of preventing or getting rid of the bad. So yes, it doesn't matter if, let's say you hate mosquitoes. It doesn't matter whether you kill a mosquito that's on your skin or on somebody else's skin. It's just this mosquito. You've killed it. You've accomplished your task. That's the job. Eradicate the mosquito. Fuck.
All this been about.
No, it's not all this has been about. This is just silly talk. So all this has been about. No. Again, you're not recognizing the happening as an event, and you're pretending that somehow it's not really an event. I just make it up. Therefore, it only happens in my brain, and again, you've extracted it from being a real event in the universe. When it happens to me, when it happens to somebody else, it's just as real an event. No distinction logically. None. When it's bad for me, it's bad for them. Period. And it's the badness, okay, that is the only part of it that I can logically find reason to oppose it. If it's not bad, then there's no reason to oppose it. So if I make it not bad for them, then why can't I make it not bad for me? Oh, that's right, because that would be ludicrous. And my own biology tells me that.
Right. So now with those quotes, lodge them in the mind, favourite this video, save it in a playlist, whatever, because from here on in, I've addressed this complaint before.
I haven't addressed shit. Again, sitting there telling me that I'm too stupid, okay, to figure out that if bad happens to me or bad happens to somebody else, that the bad is the bad, no matter who it's happening to. Yeah, bullshit. You've said anything to resolve that. Bullshit.
You know, you want to call me a liar when I'm exactly quoting you and paying particular attention when I...
Well, I'm sorry. You weren't exactly quoting me in anything called context, so you would keep pretending. The context was completely distortive.
And not to say that I'm paraphrasing you, yeah? And if you will not even stand up for a particular quote, when it says...
I did stand up for it, and I continue to stand up for it. So again, lie some more, asshole. You're the one who takes the quote out of context. I'm saying that you have to justify a need created. Okay? The need doesn't just get to exist as with a by, and you just say any need that exists now has to be satisfied. Somehow it deserves to be satisfied, even if that need is to jizz on a fucking baby. And my argument was, first you have to defend that life. So first you have to say, this person's going to cure cancer. Okay? So, yeah, it's okay if he jizzes on a few babies because he's going to cure cancer. He's going to accomplish something that's worth his lousy, stupid existence. But until you do that, until you make this stupid creature that needs to jizz on babies worth something, there's absolutely no need to let him jizz on babies. Even though jizzing on babies probably doesn't mean anything as a crime. God, you're so fucking stupid.
That part of the definition of value is, right, is that you think that somehow the context changes part.
Yeah, I think when you're having a conversation about people jizzing on babies that you ought to take it for granted that no matter what people are saying, it's probably those words are going to be somehow related to that bizarre circumstance. So if you can't understand that simple factor, concede that you made a fucking mistake, jackass. Fuck you, okay? You're out of fucking line. You're irrational. All right, you took words out of their context, and it was a huge, giant, preposterously monstrous context difference. When do people have conversations about people jizzing on babies, jackass? Doesn't happen too often, fuckface.
The definition, well, I don't know. I'm lost here.
Okay, yeah, you're lost. You can't understand how that's a special context. Oh, fuck you. This is just such bullshit. You people are just such fucking weasels. Ugh, word games. Alright. It is desirable not to have your desires deprived. Oh, now, I mean, these are just great sentences. It's desirable not to have your desires deprived. I mean, can you get more convoluted? It's desirable. Okay, so that means it's not bad. Or maybe that's good. Okay, it's good not to have your desires deprived. So it's good not to have something you want left ungotten. Okay, meta desirable. Even better. Fuck. So just to avoid having to say it's bad to have unsatisfied need, to feel the pain of deprivation, the unpleasantness of deprivation, using a word like deprivation, he uses this desirability. I mean, it's just so obvious, right? They're just trying too hard to play a word game to evade reality. The other people feel like me. Well, there you go. They are, in essence, in possession of the same qualitative experiences. Well, you still haven't really called them qualitative experiences because you won't give them a proper label of good and bad. So what's the point of saying they're qualitative? This is the music he's playing through this whole thing. I mean, you can't just write this down and put it here in the description. You really have to waste everybody's time with this 15 minutes of you telling us how fast we should read. Oh, God, I just hate text videos. Such an obnoxious way to communicate. Same are same. Well, gee. But apparently different are same. Because it's your theory that bad feelings and good feelings are really the same. They're not good and bad. Yeah. So different are the same too. Okay. People who treat them differently are unfair. Okay, here we go. People who treat them differently are unfair, discriminatory bigots. So people who think their pain is special pain and other people's pain is unspecial pain, yeah, they're assholes. Okay, so Holliday's an asshole. Okay, so you got that part right. Since they are the same, yes, question mark, and I have no reason to treat them differently. That's not the question. Whether you have a reason to treat somebody differently in the context of the argument, the presumption is that you don't have a reason. That's just for the argument's sake of saying who gets the broken leg. Okay, there's no difference. There's no reason to give it to any particular person. So then you would have to concede that it doesn't matter who has it. Because you're just trying to qualify. You're trying to separate all the crap that would get in the way of seeing the thing for what it is. And to see feelings for what they are, you take away all the crap about, well, who's the biggest criminal, or who's oldest, or who's this, or who's that. Yeah, you get rid of these reasons to treat things differently. I remember, I can't play it. I have to scroll through it. Oops. Since they're the same, yes, question mark. I don't know why these question marks are here. And I have no reason to treat them differently, yes, question mark. Then I ought to treat them differently. And I have no reason to treat them differently, then I ought to treat them differently. I don't know how, this isn't logic, so why would you even bother with this false thing when this doesn't even tie together? This is complete nonsense. Great, thanks. That was useless. Alright. Take the following argument. P1. Oh, shit. Same are same. Fairness is good. Well, this is just... I don't think you need to mess with this at the moment. Therefore, we ought to be fair. I don't know. Again, the question really is... I mean, really... Arguing over fairness doesn't really matter. We're really trying to argue over whether it's a commodity and whether, in absolute terms, all you're trying to do is reduce the commodity. You want to reduce the poo-poo in the drinking water. You want to have more drinking water and less poo-poo in the drinking water. That's a valid argument. I don't know. It's just that premise 2 cannot be logically deduced from premise 1. Well, they're just not the same premise. Yeah, I mean, same are same isn't saying anything about fairness, but same or same is about the condition of the physical body, maybe, but it has nothing to do with sameness of history, sameness of actions or deeds, sameness of intent, sameness of intelligence, sameness of condition, sameness, you know, it's just not. One's a theoretical proposition that in theory it doesn't matter. So I you know, this is pointless. Oh, let's go one back here maybe. Nope. That's a valid argument. Okay, yeah, that one's done. So this is the next one. I think you should treat them the same because I value fairness. Well, whatever. I mean, whether you value fairness or not, I mean, it just seems logical. So it's irrelevant to fairness. Once you've said that the same thing, the logic is obvious. There's no logical reason to treat same differently. So you have to make the same things different before you can treat them differently logically. There's none of this value fairness crap that's necessary. But it would be illogical to derive a value from a fact. A value from a fact. It's illogical? I mean that's just hilarious. You know, it would be illogical to derive a value from a fact. If the fact was establishing a value, if the word good or bad was in the fact, you're telling me there's a value not derived? Sorry, no sale. You're the ones arguing that there are no value facts. That's all. You're just claiming there aren't any. There's no such thing as good and bad because you say so. Not because you can demonstrate so. E.g., the fact that they are the same does not logically imply that they ought to be treated as such. Well, it does logically imply it. It's just idiotic. Again, they're not. You're claiming they're not the same. Would be the only way you could say they shouldn't be treated the same. Same is same. Treatment has to be. If they're the same, then the treatment has to be the same logically. You have to have a reason to treat them differently. What would the reason be? You have to have a reason. Unless you have already established fairness is good. No, you don't need fairness is good. You have to have a reason to be unfair first. You know, you can't say you take same and say sameness doesn't mean anything. The very word same means that its entitlement is it's the same. That's what it is. It fits in the category of it has this quality of sameness. Now treatment is obligatory until you make them unsame. As an evaluative premise. Well, I don't even know what that, which I do hold. Well, whatever. You cannot get from descriptive premises to prescriptive conclusions. Says you again. You cannot get from descriptive premises, so that would be pain is bad. Suffering is bad. Torture is bad. So you can't get from there to prescriptive conclusions. Let's not make torture. Seems pretty easy. All you have to do is apply the bad word to something and you're done. Your prescription is already written. Duh. So you're just saying torture isn't really bad. That's a fable. That's just a lie everybody's saying. Yeah, fuck you. This is so fucking stupid. This, I think, is logic. That is Hume's law, aka Hume's guillotine. Who cares? It chops off jumping from factual statements to normative prescriptions. Well, again, it just says that if you aren't smart enough to be able to call something bad, to know it. I personally know suffering is bad. I know it. Pain is bad. I know it. Certain sensations I have experienced were bad, negative things of no good to purpose. Yeah. Fuck. Guys. Fucking stupid. See, there's a bunch of, oh, Carla. There's a bunch of Carla comments. Yeah, so it's just full of shit. Oh, they're talking about chess. What a waste of time. Oh, here's some anaconda-vod. Not sure about our biology doing things for a purpose. Clouds do not collide in order to cause thunder, even though thunder is caused by the collision of clouds. Well, guess what? We evolved. We're not clouds, idiot. Is there a difference between what we desire and what we think we desire? Oh, shit. God, I hate these people. What a pile of crap.
I chose that, and, you know, I dismissed it, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it, because maybe the context was distorted. But the point...
Oh, maybe. And yeah, you know, I didn't spend any time on it. No, you put it on your board and then crossed it all out like this was a significant thing you accomplished when you accomplished absolutely nothing because you completely misunderstood the context of the conversation. So, fuck you.
Here is that your words are for shit. That you can't speak reliably.
Oh, well, again, you know, if I'm not allowed to use the word value to describe the source of the engine creating value, and I go to the egg and I say, well, why did the egg get laid? Somehow I'm not allowed to do that? Of course I am.
I'm going to make a longer video in response to this to demonstrate this further. What have you just said? Oh, fairness doesn't really matter, yeah? And yet, you've made countless videos complaining that fairness isn't built into the game.
Yeah, and again, this is why you're just too stupid for these arguments, right? You only need fairness if unfair people are playing, right? If if the players all value these rules, okay, that other people's sensations are real, that they're happening in the universe, and they have a real negative quality, and they're just as meaningful as their own, you don't need fairness, because they're already aware of that circumstance. So they're not going to commit the trespass. The logic will already prevent them, because they haven't disengaged the logic by annihilating the reality. You claim you have no obligation because you're not recognizing that what you're fighting is your negative sensations, that that's the enemy for you. And you're pretending it's not an enemy when it's in somebody invaded somebody else. Okay? And that's the only reason why you can't see it. So if the game is going to be played with people who are playing by different perceptions or different rules of logic, then yeah, that's when you need fairness, because there's nothing else to handle the problem. Alright? But you don't need it if the players are all aware of it. It's just stupid. If the logic is already, if they all understand the logical imperative, okay, the fairness is built in. You don't need to even talk about fairness because it's a logical imperative. Shit for brain.
There's a fundamental problem. That fairness is not built into the game. And yet in this most recent video, it doesn't really matter. It's a social construct, blah, 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 blah. And so I'll just say, this is superficial, political...
Oh, bullshit. You're the one just can't stay on the fucking subject. The subject is there an intrinsic fucking value, you fucking idiot? There's no conversation about fairness if you haven't even established the existence of fucking value, you jackass. God, you're so fucking stupid. And obviously there can't be anything called fairness if your values are all just projected piles of fucking personal fucking opinion shit and they're not based on a single solitary fact. If you have no fact-based value, you have nothing. You have no conversation about fairness because it doesn't mean anything anymore. Because there's no value being exchanged, you shithead. There's no currency. How can you have a fair contract when you're not contracting over anything? There's no value being exchanged, you stupid shit. God, you're dumb. I wasn't going to let this bother me, but just, I shouldn't have played these videos. It's just too stupid. Why am I communicating with people this stupid? Desirable does not ethically mean, i.e. sentimentality, the same thing as good. Desirable isn't good. Yeah, well, I don't know. Desirable doesn't seem a useless word. Yes, so let's get to good and bad. Good is that which ought or should be. Good is that which ought or should be. Well, if you don't believe there's any such thing, then I guess it ought being would be kind of idiotic. How can you want what you can't conform into a shape? You can't describe to me what the shape of this good is, because there's no bad to compare it to. Desirable things may turn out to be good or deem as good. Well, so we're just deeming good. Good doesn't have any fact merit. It doesn't mean anything as a fact. It's just some sort of notion in everybody's head. So good is entirely flexible, so therefore meaningless. But the concept itself does not actually mean the same as good. The concept of desirable doesn't have anything to do with good. Well, I would agree the concept of desire is kind of a negative thing anyway. It's just addiction. So addiction to things may turn out to be good. I don't think it's really true unless you're addicted to curing cancer. To conflate goodness with desirable is to actually commit the naturalistic fallacy. Well, this is just the verbal bullshit fallacy. To conflate goodness with desirable. Who's doing that anyway? The fallacy tries to bridge the is-ought gap. The fallacy tries to bridge it. Well, gee, I guess that's not going to work, is it? Fuck. I don't even see how this has anything to do with the naturalistic fallacy anyway. Jesus Christ, that's such a crock of shit. This is supposed to be the next one. How come it ain't showing? Since I have no reason to treat the same differently, then I ought treat them the same. I don't know why you're on this subject again. How the fuck, how did we get there? How do we go from this desirable shit and fallacy shit to this stupid same shit? Since I have no reason to treat the same differently, then I ought to treat them the same. Value X. X, I don't know what that means. I guess that's somehow wrong. Give me a reason not to treat them the same. No, it's your claim, so you need to give me a reason, fuckhead. You possess the burden of proof. Since I have no reason to treat the same differently, then I ought to treat them the same. Well, I guess I just mean the word same doesn't mean the same if you're going to treat them differently. I don't know how, I mean, there's no sameness if treating differently is part of the property. If the property that something has, I got treated differently, then you're not the same. Get it? From the fact same is same, I stress the is, you can equally derive the opposite ought statement with just as much justification. Says you. Why? Because it tries to derive ought, not, i.e. goodness or badness, from the fact that is desirable. Science can only state facts about how the world is. It cannot tell us what we should do once given that basis. Well, logic does that. once you've established bad or good. So that's just bullshit. Sorry, it's just bullshit. Once you've established broken, then fix is the obligation. Once you've established insufficient efficiency, improving efficiency is the obligation. That's logic. To equivocate desirable fact with goodness is the naturalistic fallacy. So again, I don't know why we're on this word desirable when we should be on this word comfortable. No amount of studying sentience will ever bridge that gap, ever. So there's no difference between comfort and discomfort. These are not qualitative states where one is an improvement over the other, creating value differences which negate, which obligate an improvement in the quality. Because there is nothing logically binding us saying we should obey our feelings or do anything at all. You're not obeying your feelings. You're acknowledging the existence of the feelings and the experience that existence creates. When you have the experience has a quality as an event. It's a negative or a positive event. Yes, more positive, less negative. That's the logical imperative. There's only 4 kinds of sentence: declarative, imperative. I mean, this is what your rules, right? Exclamative, interrogative questions. Well, it says you, whatever. Only the first sentences are truth apt, capable of true or false. Declarative. I don't know. So I mean, there's nothing in here. There's no descriptive. Where's the descriptive in here? Oh yeah, there isn't one. So that's kind of bullshit. Moral statements either express desires or feelings. Well, that's just silly. Moral statements, in the traditional sense, are an expression of a conclusion based on the positive and negative quality of outcomes. Moral statements, even though I don't like the word morality, we're always about outcomes, and you goddamn know it. Oughts are meaningless. Non-cognitivism. Well, whatever. Yeah, you people are just fucking idiots. Juvenile retards. Immature, mush-brained, fuck-faced, stupid bastards.
Non-philosophical depth-seeking by you. You still...
Oh, whatever. Yeah, non-philosophical. And look at the word games you've used. Them. It only matters to them. Their sensations are only sensations in their brain. But their brain is in the universe, and the sensations did happen in the universe, but I'm declaring them null and void. They didn't really happen at all. They really had no character. There's nothing to identify. There's no distinction between the sensations associated with a nail in your eye and the sensations of eating a cupcake. No significant difference. They might as well be the same, because we will take no action or have no obligations depending on which one exists. Fuck you. Fuck this shit. Anyway, enough of this. I didn't think this would be this inane, but it's just too inane. Too stupid. Too stupid.